Run it back, Philly. No frauds, no fanboys, no intros. Speaking of frauds.
But I want to ask you a question. Back to the Kevin Durant thing. Is it Ben Simmons' fault that Kevin Durant wants out? Because we're ranting about Doc Rivers, so we got to bring some feel good to this show now. And the only feel good I get out of basketball lately is still just basking in the glory of how right I was about Ben Simmons. And actually, I didn't even see this coming. I hated the way that he played basketball when he was averaging 16 points a game. I didn't see this like drop off actually happening, and it's kind of sad to me now. And I just posted a clip on Twitter today of his 34-point game against the Cavs, and he shot 2 threes, and he looked like a budding NBA superstar. And I was like, it's just so crazy that he had all that potential and it's gone. But so Kevin Durant was quoted saying, "Look at our starting line." And I've never heard a player call out a team like this in the middle of a season. He said, "Look at our starting lineup. Edmund Sumner, Royce O'Neal, Joe Harris, Nick Claxton, and me. It's not disrespect, but what are you expecting from that group? You expect us to win because I'm out there." So he's clearly like, I got nobody. Kyrie's suspended and refusing to apologize. James Harden had one conversation with Kyrie Irving and requested a trade. And we got Ben Simmons in return, who is so bad right now, we can't even start him. And you got a $180 million player coming off the bench giving you 2 points and 6 fouls. So whose fault is it that Kevin Durant is basically asking for a trade 10 games into the season or 15 games into the season?
I would have to blame whoever traded for Ben Simmons. Like, if you trade for Ben Simmons, you should just be fired. A list that should never get a job again. Because if you just do simple research by, putting in Sixers YouTube, you'll figure out what's wrong with Ben Simmons, and then you'll realize, oh, yeah, he's a mental case. It's not worth it. I would understand like a team like the Spurs taking a chance on him, or like the Jazz who are trying to rebuild. But like a team with Kevin Durant and Kyrie, why would you just want to add more to the pot? It was just a dumb trade from the beginning. The picks might turn out to be really good for them. That's the only thing saving their trade in my eyes. And if James Harden, continues to end up getting hurt, then it won't look as bad as well. But as of now, it looks terrible.
Yeah, it's crazy. They could have gotten something else for James Harden, right? Like, how is that what you got in return? And Austin Krell tweeted today, somebody sent it to me, and he said, Ben Simmons refusing to play last year is the best thing that could have happened to the Sixers, because we thought, this guy has to get on the court so we can raise his trade value and then trade him. But it turns out if he got on the court, his trade value would have plummeted even worse than it already was because he's so bad right now. So him sitting out and refusing to ever play for us again was great for us, because even though his trade value was low, it didn't go any lower, and we were able to trade him for James Harden. And the Nets are now seeing a much worse version of Ben Simmons, and it's just crazy. So, yeah, I mean, the best thing that happened for us in that whole debacle is that he didn't play for us because he was bad. He just looks... So here's a tweet. Bleacher Report, there is frustration building within the Nets around Ben Simmons' availability and level of play. That's funny, availability, because we were saying the same thing. This guy tries to find ways to not play basketball. And then, Durant just came back from he sprained knee last year. He missed 8 weeks with a sprained meniscus or something like that. He came back and he played the rest of the season. Ben sits out an entire season, was supposed to play in the playoffs last year, woke up and told him he had a sore back. The day they expected him to debut for them in the playoffs, he told him he had a sore back. Then he starts the season this year, plays terrible, and 4 games into the season, he's out with a sore knee. So, yeah, availability, that's crazy because this guy's not been an injured player. Like, he's not an injury-prone player at all. So he just makes things up to not play. And level of play, of course, yeah, it's been terrible, but it says the Nets are growing frustrated with him, and some in the organization are questioning his passion for the game. And that goes back to what you just said about, if you just went on YouTube and searched Sixers Ben Simmons, you could have found out that you don't want him on your team. But that's not just the Nets that fell for that. That's the Sixers too. His draft profile explained it perfectly. At LSU, he had no drive. He averaged, a 30-point triple-double, but that's just because he would have games where he scored 49, 17, and 18 because he was playing against a bunch of 5'11" college kids. And then again, in the big games, he wouldn't show up at all. They didn't make the NCAA tournament, and he refused to play in the NIT tournament. They said the same thing. There's players in Australia that played with him before he ever came to America that are quoted as saying, like, this guy just doesn't, first of all, he doesn't get along with the players. He's kind of has his own thing. He's not a very likable guy. Always kind of acted like a celebrity, I think. And it's always been there, It sucks that he has this makeup. If he was 6'5", it would have been like, okay, this dude could be a good point guard, but we're not going to take a chance because of this, and this. But him being 6'10", 240, and could run a 4.2 40 probably, it was like you had to kind of ignore all of the red flags and say this could be a 6'11" LeBron James. So we fell for it. Yeah, everybody fell for it.
Yeah, and we also fell for Al Horford. We fell for a lot of things.
I think that goes back to coaching again. Al Horford was great for the Celtics. We sign him. It's terrible. He goes back to the Celtics and he's Al Horford again.
Yeah, with a center next to him as well. That's the thing. He plays next to Robert Williams. But yeah, back to Ben Simmons. I think the funniest thing out of this is there's like an excuse. So he's been injured, even though he hasn't been injured. Or people say, oh, he hasn't played in 2 years. The person who took his spot in the starting lineup, Edmund Sumner, first off, tore his ACL 2 years ago, missed all last season. I thought he was going to be out of the NBA based on how it was looking for him. And he took Ben Simmons' spot, and he's playing well for a guy who hasn't really been that productive or gotten a chance like this. So that excuse, oh, he hasn't played. Well, first off, what was he doing for a year and a half sitting at home? Because he came to practice, so he was obviously healthy at that time. It's like he probably didn't even pick up a basketball besides like going to the gym and shooting like for 5 minutes, and then he's like, yeah, shooting. We're good.
Did you say shooting?
Well, yeah, not shooting.
He has gold guns on Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 already, I guarantee you. Guarantee he's got gold guns everywhere, man. Prestige times 5. But yeah, it's fun that the Nets are dealing with it. I just it's sad to me. I can't believe he fell off this hard. And watching those old highlights of him, it was he's so out of shape right now. He's a lot heavier than he was, when he was rookie, second year, third year here. He was a lot slimmer, a lot quicker. He just looks like a big lug that's just, I don't know, man. Like for him to get back to what he at least was as a rookie for the Sixers, he would have to have a lot of drive and motivation because he needs to lose about 20 pounds. He needs to do a lot of things, and I don't see that drive from him. So I think the Nets are screwed, and clearly we won the trade, even if James Harden is now at an age where he's seemingly injury prone. We don't know. Pulled hamstring with the Nets, then we get him when he didn't have a full off season to work out, so he burned out with us in the playoffs the first year he was here. Then he takes a whole off season and works out. He looks slimmer. He looks like he's in the best shape since he was in Houston, and then he sprains his foot. So I don't know. What do you think about that? Is James getting to an age where, not to be ultra doom and gloom, but we might have got him a little bit past his prime.